There was a time when electric cars seemed to have limitless potential, but gradually, unexpected things started to happen, and now the industry is reeling. Yes, you heard it right. It started. Once held in high esteem as a model of environmentally friendly transportation and technological advancement, the electric vehicle industry has collapsed with a bang. But what led to this dramatic downfall? In this video, we'll dissect the root causes of the EV market crash, uncovering shocking facts and hidden truths that may surprise even the most seasoned industry insiders. So don't go anywhere, stay with us until the end of the video, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. The automotive industry is currently at a critical juncture, deviating significantly from its previously anticipated path. After years of hopeful anticipation regarding the electrification of vehicles, the current situation has brought a dose of reality. The current state of frozen EVs, malfunctioning chargers, and significant job cuts indicate that the collapse of the once promising EV market is no longer a distant concern. It has become a harsh reality that is impacting us severely. Electric vehicles are left helpless and stranded at charging stations, like something out of a dystopian novel. It's a reality that many doubters of electrification have pointed out. The current limitations of electric cars still prevent them from entirely replacing traditional, gas-guzzling vehicles. The recent wave of freezing temperatures has highlighted the challenges of cold weather on battery performance. With the drop in temperatures, the range of EVs also decreases, causing inconvenience for drivers stranded before reaching their desired charging points. Consider, for example, the cold that enveloped Chicago last month. A clear reminder of the lack of ability of numerous EVs and their charging infrastructure for harsh weather conditions. Not only did batteries struggle in the cold, but chargers also faced difficulties, with some failing and others operating slowly. Essentially, as the temperature drops, these batteries require more energy, further extending the time-consuming charging process. However, numerous challenges continue to affect the EV market, extending beyond issues like frozen EVs and malfunctioning chargers. The industry is currently facing many challenges, including supply chain disruptions, regulatory hurdles, and wavering consumer confidence. And yet, in the instability and unpredictability, there is a chance for something new. By gaining a profound understanding of the underlying factors that led to the decline of the EV market, stakeholders can strategically navigate through this challenging period and come out even more resilient and prosperous. So, let's get into factors causing EV crashes in detail, and how their knowledge can help us all stay informed. Suppose you're cruising in your electric vehicle, feeling good about doing your part for the environment, but then, as the temperature drops, so does your heart rate, because you realize your battery might not reach the next charging station. Range anxiety? Sure, that's a thing. But now, there's a new worry in town: charging anxiety, and it's hitting EV drivers hard. Not too long ago, car manufacturers were aboard the electric vehicle train, racing to claim their stake in the burgeoning market. Everyone wanted a piece of the pie, from big names like General Motors to up-and-comers. Bold statements, like Mary Barra's pledge for full electrification by 2035 at General Motors, were thrown around. But fast forward a couple of years, and those ambitious plans are hitting some roadblocks. Why the change of heart? Well, it all boils down to one simple factor: demand. Consumers aren't as thrilled about EVs as everyone thought they'd be. With hefty price tags and underwhelming performance, many folks are sticking to good old internal combustion engines for as long as possible. And that's throwing a wrench in the works for automakers banking on a mass exodus to electric. So, what does all this mean for the future of EVs? Those grand plans for a fully electrified fleet are getting a reality check. Targets are being slashed, and revisions are being made as companies scramble to adjust to a market that's not quite as eager to embrace the electric revolution as they'd hoped. It's not all doom and gloom. Despite the setbacks, electric vehicles still have plenty of potential to make their mark. It will take some time, and maybe a few more charging stations, to win over the skeptics and make EVs a true contender in the automotive world. Not too long ago, Mary Barra over at General Motors made a big splash with her plan to sell almost 1 million EVs annually by 2026. Sounds impressive. Last year, GM only managed to push out around 100,000 EVs. So, to hit that 1 million mark by 2026, they'd need to grow their sales by a mind-blowing 1,000% in just the next 2 years. Spoiler alert, even GM isn't betting on that happening. So, what's the latest move from the GM playbook? They've paused production for two of their most anticipated EVs, the all-electric Silverado and Sierra trucks. Even the big shots are dialing back their electric dreams. Now, let's talk jobs. With EV sales growing slower than expected, car makers across the board are slashing their sales targets for the coming year. And when sales targets shrink, production follows suit. Less demand means fewer cars rolling off the assembly line. And where there's less production, there's inevitably job cuts. Take Ford's all-electric F-150 Lightning, for example. It was supposed to be the shining star in America's favorite pickup lineup. But with this year's production target slashed in half, Ford's Michigan plant is feeling the squeeze. It means about 1,400 workers are caught in the crossfire, with half being shuffled off to other jobs within the company. Some might land on their feet, while others might find themselves out of luck. Let's get real for a moment. Sure, we could talk about the noble cause of saving the planet all day long, but when it comes down to it, the electric vehicle industry is a business first and foremost. In other words, for electrification to take off, it's gotta make some green, in more ways than one. Right now, EV makers are bleeding money on every car they sell. Why? Because they haven't quite cracked the code on making EVs profitable yet. They've been pouring billions into new technologies, but still struggle to optimize the production process. And let's face it, making electric cars ain't cheap. To make matters worse, there's this constant pressure to offer competitive prices and big discounts to attract buyers. And guess what? That's eating into their bottom line big time. Take Ford, for example. Reports say they've lost $36,000 on every F-150 Lightning they sold in the last half of the year. And when you crunch the numbers, it adds up to a staggering $4.5 billion in losses for Ford just the previous year. So it's no wonder they're hitting the brakes on some of their big EV investments. Ford's not alone in this struggle. General Motors is feeling the pinch too. They've had to pump the brakes on projects like the electric Silverado and Sierra trucks and a new drive unit to save some cash. It's a tricky balancing act. Yes, we all want to save the planet and drive cool electric cars, but unless the numbers add up, it's gonna be an uphill battle. So, while the EV industry might be in for a rough patch, let's not lose sight of the bigger picture. Let's dive into some eye-opening facts about the electric vehicle scene that you might not know yet. It's not just the manufacturers feeling the pinch. Rental car companies are taking a hit too. Hertz recently waved goodbye to 20,000 electric vehicles from its fleet. Why? Partly because they're not holding their value as well as expected. It turns out EVs have a much higher depreciation rate compared to good old internal combustion cars. Over 5 years, they can lose half their value. Now, let's talk about what's ruling the roads these days. SUVs and trucks are king of the automotive jungle, making up more than 80% of the market. That's great news for big, beefy vehicles, but not so much for electric ones. See, most EVs so far have been small and focused on efficiency. They're not precisely roomy or practical, which doesn't sit well with SUV-loving folks. Some larger electric SUVs are out there, but they're often too pricey for the average Joe. And don't even get us started on electric pickups. They're supposed to be the next big thing, but they're not cutting it. Sure, they might be quick off the mark, but when it comes to towing and hauling, the stuff that matters in the pickup world, they're lagging. Take the F-150 Lightning, for example. It can tow up to more than 10,000 pounds, but its gasoline-powered counterpart can handle over 13,000. Heavy use can seriously drain the battery, leaving you high and dry when needed. As for government support, let's just say it's not as helpful as you might think. Sure, there's talk of making 2/3 of new cars electric by 2032, but things are looking a little shaky behind the scenes. Changes to federal tax credits mean that many EVs no longer qualify for the juicy $7,500 tax break. And while billions have been earmarked for charging infrastructure, no new charger was built last year. Something fishy's going on. So, while the future of electric vehicles might seem bright, some storm clouds are on the horizon. What are your thoughts on this matter? Do let us know in the comment section, hit that like button, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video.